What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle with Opinicus Holdings. I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about MCD. This is actually going to be a trade recap, a trade that I took today. Now, as you can see on the chart here, McDonald's, MCD, recently had an unfavorable reaction to their earnings report. This is how it popped up onto my radar. To be honest, this is a stock that I don't usually watch. It's not usually on my watch list, but it was this catalyst right here, their earnings, that brought it onto my radar. Now, we had discussed the setup in yesterday's Traders Hangout. If you're unfamiliar with the Traders Hangout, it is something we do every other Wednesday for members only of the Opinicus think tank. And we're basically going over charts, scanning for various names that can provide us good setups to trade over the next week or 2 weeks. In this particular case, we looked at McDonald's. I'm going to go ahead and roll that little section of the clip for you guys now so you can see already what we were talking about prior to this even happening.
That was a 200. I think we were talking about yesterday. Still, we tried to shorter yesterday. The 200. He gave actually intraday gave a couple good trades yesterday, but I didn't take them. Was an earnings play. Here's what we're looking. That's the 200.
Okay.
Okay, the 200 MA. So we have a strong down day today. We're holding a little bit right there. Some indecision. So I'll be looking for the clues tomorrow.
Okay. So 200. I mean, that's going to be a big psychological level anyway. Nice round number. So 200. All right.
Let's look at the 15. Because in this case, when I have such big moves, I like to go to the 15 to game plan. Because basically everybody will remember what happens today and the day. If anybody gets a chart from McDonald's, this is basically what they're going to see. Right? Wow, right. It dropped horrible. This is what we're talking about Tesla. You see the move? The move was down clearly. So I want to be short. I'm looking for shorts. Right?
Right.
This doesn't tell me anything. So it got into this shop and just treat it like any normal play. So this is a play. Oh, actually it was 201 and then the 200. That was at the close, right? So these levels will work the other way. I'm looking at 201, right? And I'm looking at 198.
Okay, so do we have a larger target in mind if we flush through those lows at 198? What are we looking at? Because this thing's totally new to me. So
I think there's nothing. Let me see.
Really?
But I think there's nothing.
That's good to know.
Look at that. It's in an option. So 183 on the monthly. And we're out of the area right here, so we might come back to test it. We got 198. That's the one we want to break. That's the one we want to break.
Right. Okay. So watch the 198.
Yeah, 197.40. Placing my alarms right here. Doing a trigger on that one. And once we break, I'll say 195. I'll take it but this should be the ultimate target, 190.
Now, as you can see from that clip, some key levels that were mentioned are going to be 200 and 198. We already had this in our mind prior to the day even starting today. That being said, looking at McDonald's, I'm going to go into the daily, go ahead and maximize this sell, and I want to have a level here on the 200 price point right here as such. So we can see the importance of this support and resistance level. Now, knowing that reference point, if we go back into today's action, we know that 198 was also discussed. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a level up here on 198. As you can see here on the 5-minute chart, when the stock opened up, it opened just shy of the 200 key level that was discussed. Now, all through this area, I'm not going to be trading it personally. I'm looking for a setup that is basically going to provide a clean entry, something that has good risk parameters. In this case, the stock moved under 198. And so this was actually called out in the think tank. I'll throw a screenshot on the screen right now of the initial call out within the think tank so you can see what time that took place. And as you can see, the stock was approaching 198 at that time. Now, personally, I took this trade as it was losing support. We can see that it was flushing through 198, which was prior day lows and the level discussed in the trader's hangout. I already knew that this was going to be presenting a trade setup for me to take. Now, personally, I took the trade at the break of 198 and I was in puts. I rode those puts down. If we zoom in a little more here, I rode those puts down into this candle for what I remember to be about 15 to 20% gain, if my memory serves me correct. Now, that was not even the best setup of the day in MCD. As you can see here, not only did it flush through the 198 level mentioned, but it created a formation here. Let me bring up the trend line. Created a formation for us to make a trade against. Now, this is going to be sometimes referred as a bear flag, a pennant, a wedge, something of that nature. The point of the pattern is that you have price action slicing through support and then consolidating. Generally, this means it's going to provide another leg lower, which is exactly what we saw. There are two ways to go about trading this after the consolidation period. You can either buy the break of the wedge right here in this area, or you can wait for a break of session lows, okay? This particular trade, if you're waiting for a break of session lows, is not going to be as great of a gain, but it does give you a little bit of additional confirmation that you are correct on the trade. Why is that? Well, price action could simply consolidate, come to retest session lows, and then go ahead and bounce. So if you're in on the wedge break, you may or may not get a gain out of this trade, depending on how quick you are. If you wait for a break of session lows, I'm not going to say you have a guaranteed trade, but you have a lot higher odds that this thing is going to pan out in your favor. Now, another one of the levels discussed in the Traders Hangout was 195 and 190 as being the next support zones for this stock. As you can see, when it flushed through this session low, it began making that move to 195. We can see the setup here we can see the price action here in after hours. 195.75 was tagged. And so for me, guys, this is going to be a textbook setup, okay? Just to recap quickly, we've got the daily chart, and this is where all of your research should be done. On the daily chart, on higher time frames. Looking at the setup here, we have price action, negative earnings report, slicing through a big support level at 200, plus that is going to be a psychological level, round number. A lot of traders and investors are going to be looking at the 200 level. Okay, so no trade for me in that area. But if we go and look at today's action on the hourly even, what you can see here, again, we opened under the 200. So this thing is going to be open under the 200. Investors are going to be thinking, okay, that is a firm resistance level. I'm either going to go ahead and sell my shares, or I'm going to look to short this thing because it's going to move lower. Now, again, like I said, just to recap and go full circle on this thing, there was no, you could have technically bought at the open with your risk on 200, but that's not my style of trade. That's not my strategy at all. I'm looking for this thing to move into prior day lows, which we saw pretty much perfectly here on the 5-minute. And then I'm looking for a flush through prior day lows through the key level mentioned at 198. I traded this initial drop, left it alone after that, but the actual better play at hand was this formation into this greater short here. I had no piece of that, but that was the better setup. Both of these trades worked out nicely, both short setups for very nice gains. The only thing preventing this trade, this MCD trade, in terms of options from being a 10 out of 10 is that the options do have a fairly wide spread.